This is lesson 31 for 7th grade, and today's topic is reading and writing decimal numbers. We've been working with decimal numbers all the way through this year, and since they've been quite young, I'm going to grab my marker over here. But we're going to go ahead and review some of these things, and it'll help us out in the future as well. Alright, so here are our main goals for today. We want to understand the place value of decimal numbers. Basically, in a different way, or written a different way, we want to be able to identify place value. So now we're not sticking to the left side of the decimal place with our ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, up to millions and billions and all that. We're going to go to the right side of the decimal where we run into some other types of decimal numbers and place values. We also want to be able to read these decimal numbers correctly. And then we also want to be able to write these decimal numbers correctly. And obviously, when we're doing arithmetic with them, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, we want to be able to know what to do with them in those situations too, which we've already covered a little bit this year. Alright, so just an intro to these decimal numbers. It says, we have used fractions and percents to name parts of a whole. We remember that a fraction has a numerator and a denominator, or the top and the bottom. The denominator indicates the number of equal parts in the whole. The numerator indicates the number of parts that are selected. So if we look at this example, 3 parts are selected, so that goes in our numerator, 3, and out of our total, which is 10 squares. So this would be 3/10. Parts of a whole can also be named by using decimal fractions. In a decimal fraction, we can see the numerator, but we cannot see the denominator. The denominator of a decimal fraction is indicated by place value. On the following page, the decimal fraction, let's see, that doesn't sound right. On the following page is the decimal fraction 3/10. Alright, so where they were talking about this right here. We know the denominator is 10 because only one place value is shown to the right of the decimal point. So we know that this is our tenths place value. So instead, we would pronounce that 3/10 because that's in our tenths place. That would be with the THS there. So the decimal fraction 0.3 or 3/10 and the common fraction 3/10 or 3/10 are equivalent. And they're both read 3/10, like I said before. So fraction and decimal number, they're equal, and 3/10. Okay, that's how we pronounce it. A decimal fraction written with 2 digits after the decimal point, or 2 decimal places, is understood to have a denominator of 100, as we show here. So 0.03 would have 2 zeros, or would be over 100. So just think of this as 1 with 2 zeros. So 3/100ths is how we would pronounce that. Same with this one right here, 21/100ths, because the 1 is in the hundredths place. So you look as to your last number, what place value is that? That'll be what your number is over. So hundredths, 21 over 100. So a number that contains a decimal fraction is called a decimal number, or just a decimal. So we have our decimal point. This is our decimal fraction. The whole thing is called a decimal number. So we would read this as 12 and 345 thousandths. So once again, decimal point, decimal fraction, decimal number, or the whole decimal. Alright, let's look at some of these here. First example, write 7/10 as a fraction and as a decimal. So we know that we can write them both ways and we pronounce them the same way. So 7/10 as a fraction is just 7/10. So that's our fraction. And as a decimal, we can write this as 10, so that's just one spot past our decimal spot. So right here. 7 goes in the tenths place value. So that would be our fraction and our decimal. Alright, here's our next example here. Name the shaded part of the square. First as a fraction and then as a decimal. Well, we have to figure out how much is shaded first, and then we have to put that over the total amount of squares. So looks like we have 1, 2. Let's get the total number of squares first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have a 10 by 10. And this is basically like finding the area of this square, but we know that 10 rows of 10 is going to give us 10 times 10 or 100. Okay. Then we have to figure out how much is shaded. Well, we have a row of 10. A row of 10, that's 20. Plus 3 is 23. So 23 out of 100. And as a decimal, this would be 0.23. So 23 hundredths and 23 hundredths. So our 3 needs to be in that hundredths place. And that's how we would get that. Also, the 2 zeros tells us that we will be 2 spots beyond the decimal point. Okay. So here are our place values. It looks like we've got things on the left of the decimal and on the right here. So this might be a handy little chart. Remember, to the left we go ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, and it keeps going to the left. We don't have a ones place here. Beyond the decimal point to the right, we start in the tenths place. And then it goes hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions. Alright? So, there is, like here we have ones, there will be no ones over here. It starts with tenths. Alright? So let's look at this one real quick. In the number 12.34579, which digit is in the thousandths place? Well, the thousandths is 1, 2, 3. 3 spots beyond our decimal, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3. 5 would be in our thousandths place right there. Alright? So if we look at all these numbers, this is in your tens, 1 is in your tens, 2 is in your ones, 3 is in your tenths, 4 is in your hundredths, 5 is in your thousands, 7 is in your 10,000s, 9 is in your 100,000s. And notice how all of these end with THS. That are to the right of the decimal anyway. Alright, here we go. Another example. Name the place occupied by the 7 in 4.63471. Alright. Well, we've got tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000. So that would be in the 10,000th place. Okay. Oops. Thought we had more on that page, I guess not. Alright, read this decimal number. Now I have the answer up here already, and you've already heard me read a decimal number already too, but basically where we have the decimal point, we're going to replace with an and when we read it out loud. So we're going to read 123 like normal, and then we're going to look at what place value our last number is in. So this is our thousandths. And we're going to read this just like 123 as well, but we're going to add thousandths to the number. So if we read this whole thing out loud, it would be 123 and 123 thousandths. So that's how we would read that number. So it says use digits to write these decimal numbers out. 75 thousandths. Okay? So it's not 75,000, it's 75 thousandths. With the THS there, that means we're going to be less than 1, 75 thousandths. Now, thousandths is in our third spot to the left, so we need that 5 to to be in that last spot, which means this has to be a 0. So that 5 is allowed to be in that third spot. So 75 thousandths would be just like that. And let's see, 100 and 11 hundredths. So 100 and, this tells me 100 is to the left of our decimal. So 100 and means decimal point, and 11 hundredths. Hundredths is in our second spot to the right, so 11. 111 hundredths right there. 100.11. So that's our answer to both of those. And it looks like that's all we have for today. So that's lesson 31. We'll be doing some more with that coming up here shortly, and we'll see you soon.